Back in the day, in the Bahamian households, um, you had people who had Earl lamp. That was way back in the 70s. They used to use Earl lamp on a regular because most people still were unemployed, didn't have no jobs, couldn't find no work, and it was plenty bush in Nassau then, plenty bush. It was only Golden Gates number one back then. Only Golden Gates number one. They had people up in Adelaide, way down there, because that was ever an old settlement. They had people in Gambia, way up there, west, because that was an old settlement. But hardly, it was a lot of people in Cable Beach because they were the well-to-do. They were considered the rich. Life rich, Cable Beach rich, Paris Island rich. If you live in Vinton, you was rich. But most of them was mostly white people back in those days. You could account maybe the one or two colored folks who was amidst them. And they never used to mix with the poor line people too much. So a lot of people still used to be using Earl lamp and Earl stove and trying to say they grilling on the outside with old stick and wood. We had a lot of wooden homes. So the wood, when you change the wood after it rotten, to put new wood, the old wood which you changed, they used to use them to make fire. And on those fire, they used to do hot dogs and marshmallow, playing like they camping out. But that's because they couldn't afford gas tank for the one or two who did have a gas stove, you know. And so they had to compromise with whatever else to do cooking. And that's why they say cook on three rock. Because you put three big rock and it was enough to balance a pot on. When you strategically place them and then you put the fire in the middle of the tree rock and you got a stove, baby. You got a stove, you know. But you used to have to watch your food back then because people were so hungry and they waking. If you go outside or inside and leave your pot on, thinking when you come back it can be done, when you come back it meet no pot. You meet no pot. All the little Joneser fellas, there they had little Joneser back then, but we never used to call it no Joneser because we didn't know. We used to say people who used to take drugs or pills. Back then they had, I think, say, other pills and things people used to take to get high off and stuff. And those type people, they never had no employment. They were young men with no employment, majority of them. So if you cooking outside, they hungry and they watching you, they know you're coming to cook for your children, the minute you're back there, pot gone with all the food. They ain't even done, they get done it wherever else they go. They carry that hot pot. You don't even see side of the pot or the food. And then some, they have a hat, they have a hat because some days later they know where you pour, you need that pot to cook in again. When you see the pot appear on your outside or your wash stand, everybody used to wash outside on the wash stand. So when you look, your pot appear on the wash stand. You say, well, where does pot come from? Last time I see it, I was cooking my food, it disappeared now here. Because they clean it and return it. They want more food now. Wait for you to cook more food so they can teeth it again. That used to happen back in the day plenty. Trust me. It was a joke when you look back now. Just imagine that. That's how it was in the Bahamas, baby, back in the day. One was highly wicked, so they had to do something to survive, eh? I'm telling you, over and over.